Judge Joe Brown's all-new barbecue sauce and seasoning. Justice in the form of flavor.
Law firms will take this as a retainer.
What? It must be a law firm where they hungry as hell. Now you gonna help me with this parole I'm dealing with?
Judge Joe Brown's all-new barbecue sauce and seasoning. Justice in the form of flavor. With one taste of our premium blends of all-natural ingredients, herbs, and spices, you'll fall in love with meat all over again. Judge Joe Brown's all-natural barbecue sauce collection is made up of 2 zesty flavors, original and spicy. There's only one way to bring order back to barbecuing. Just add Judge Joe Brown's all-natural barbecue sauce and seasoning, and you be the judge.
Well, I had to mute you. You can unmute. I just asked you to unmute. Area code 309.
Hello, how you doing? Hi, Dana, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I guess for an old ugly man, I can't complain. How you doing, Your Honor?
All right, sir. How about yourself?
I've been hanging in there. It's been about 3 or 4 years since I talked to you guys, but I just wanted to ask you because last time I talked to you, I let you know I was one of the guys Van Jones had hired to do the First Step Act. And after Biden pardoned his son today, and I listened to the people on The View, and it really pisses me off that they feel like it's nothing for him to pardon his son, but Joe Biden felt like he had to put so many of our children in prison, but his son got a pass. What do you think about that?
Well, he had absolute power to do anything he wanted to do in reference to pardoning or commuting somebody's sentence or granting clemency. That's his authority.
Yeah, I understand that.
Still kind of
I understand that.
It was still kind of chicken. I predicted, Dana can tell you that, I predicted a long time ago that he was going to do that. And it's really insidious because what does it say about lack of respect for law and order and to whether or not justice is impartial? Again, hasn't issued a blanket pardon, so Hunter Biden's still open for prosecution for FARA, F-A-R-A, Foreign Agents Registration Act violations. And I suspect that if somebody pulls his coattail before he leaves office, he's going to issue a blanket pardon for everybody that had something to do with setting up a sanctuary city, which he can do. And diplomatically, he's going to try to come up with a decree that the status as refugees who are entitled to asylum would begin January 2021. So these people, without further ado, automatically become citizens in 5 years from the effective date of their flight to this country for purposes of exercising refugee status. So he can do that, and that would make them eligible to vote right at the next midterms that are going to occur 2 years into the next presidency. And, well, the elections will be November 2026. So I find that an interesting thing. It stinks to high heavens, but it's what they did. And it's the kind of no-class, unprincipled act that you can expect from these blue boys.
Should I play the...
Respect it as a parent. I understand why he would do it. Yeah. But I wonder to understand why lie about it for so long.
I'd stop calling it a lie.
Okay, why repeatedly say you're not going to and you do? And secondarily, for the part of this country, half of it that doesn't support Biden, doesn't know him personally, doesn't get to have phone calls, and they're just looking at a system that seems like it only benefits the people who are in power.
I'm going to say,
what precedent does that set?
Well, here's what it says. It's a precedent for all of us to open our eyes because we've elected someone who is in a similar situation, who didn't have a drug problem, who knew what he was doing, who clearly stood and said, I can do this. And he did it. So I think for many, many reasons, this is very different than any other situation that we have ever dealt with.
Stop.
No, that
Never have we had a situation where due process so badly corrupted for political persecution. Political persecution. There is no chance in hell of this set of convictions, supposed convictions, standing on appeal. The people that brought these charges know that. They just threw it and saw what would stick on the wall, and they were trying to use it to keep him from getting to become the next president. It didn't work. And their appellate process is going to show it doesn't work. So this is just garbage. This is violation of the Bill of Rights.
But Whoopi is also using the excuse that, well, Hunter Biden was a crackhead and Donald Trump was not. So Donald Trump.
I got that, but that's irrelevant. That's a red herring, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the efficacy of the situation. Hunter Biden, crackhead, voluntary intoxication or use of drugs is no defense to a crime in the United States. Nowhere. So that's not a good narrative. And the other thing is what you saw with Mr. Trump, that was one of his appeals during this last election cycle, was, hey, they ganged up on somebody that was president of the United States, violated the hell out of the Bill of Rights, which was designed to prevent this type of thing from happening. So if they'll go after a former white president of the United States, Negroes, Mexicans, Italians, people of Asian descent, you know they'll go after you without any qualms. So put somebody in place to stop this who has empathy for the situation, because it was done to him,
right?
Not electing some. It was one of the worst things the fools could have done, because they wanted a career prosecutor, Kamala Harris, the hyena, to be in charge. Now, who do you think's going to be more empathetic to your situation? Somebody who they've run through the mill, or somebody that has run that mill?
Caller,
exactly.
Anything else you want to say? Because I have to go to another caller. So,
well, the point I was trying to make, the View was trying to excuse it, like it's all right for him to pardon Hunter, but what does it say about all the 2 million, 3 million people that's locked up because of that 94 crime bill, who had drugs and a gun just like his son?
Well, 94 crime bill isn't the worst thing Joe Biden is responsible for. There's the 88 one, the 87, the 81, and the 79 bill, which were actually worse, because they set up a situation where they allow federal prosecutors, without a chance in hell of getting a conviction, without concern for true probable cause in the spirit of the law, to implement prosecutions against people, to repress them and bankrupt them so they will become helpless.
Mm-hmm.
That is the worst of what he did. Also,
yeah, I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about the View and people like him.
I know.
You know,
I got it. The View, doesn't have a long view. They just think about their little cupcakes and Chablis wine while nibbling funny colored crackers and cheese. And that's the extent of what they do in their ignorance. So, yeah, it looks bad. And there's no justification for it. And the justification of, well, look at Trump as president. Those convictions were so far out of the pale when it comes to American law that somebody ought to be prosecuted for malicious prosecution by independent counsel as soon as things can get stabilized.
I agree.
Thank you, caller.
You're welcome.
All right. Appreciate it.
Thank you.